Brandon Lee, The Crow, 1994. Let's start with the most infamous incident in modern film history, the tragic death of Brandon Lee, son of the legendary Bruce Lee, on the set of The Crow in 1993. It's the quintessential production tragedy. Brandon Lee played the lead role, rocker Eric Draven. The tragedy occurred during the filming of a close-range shooting scene. A fake pistol, designed to fire blanks, tragically became stuck with a blank from a previously used training round. When the gun was loaded with a blank cartridge, which contains only gunpowder and not a bullet, the force of the propellant propelled the blank like a real bullet. Brandon Lee was fatally shot in the abdomen and died hours later. He was only 28 years old. The film was never completed. The filmmakers decided to finish it using archival footage, computer-generated imagery, CGI, and highly skilled stunt doubles to honor the actor's memory. This decision turned The Crow into an iconic and somber farewell to a rising star. Brandon Lee's death will forever remain the most striking example of how carelessness on set can lead to disaster. Heath Ledger, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, 2009. Heath Ledger died in January 2008 at the age of 28 from an accidental overdose of prescription drugs while in the midst of filming The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, directed by Terry Gilliam. His death came as a shock to Hollywood, occurring just months after he completed work on The Dark Knight. In Imaginarium, Ledger played the lead role, the mysterious Tony. Filming was interrupted, and the film's fate was in doubt, as Tony's role was central. The project's rescue was an unprecedented act of solidarity in the industry. 3 of Ledger's friends and colleagues, Johnny Depp, Jude Law, and Colin Farrell, agreed to play Tony for free in scenes where the character changed his face while traveling through a magic mirror. This ingenious scriptwriting move not only saved the film, but also became a touching collective dedication to their late friend. The 3 actors' salaries were donated to Heath Ledger's daughter. It was an example of professional friendship and creative decision that made it possible to complete Ledger's final work. Paul Walker, Furious 7, 2015. The death of Paul Walker in November 2013 was one of the most shocking in modern times, given his role in the High Octane franchise. Walker, known for his role as Brian O'Connor in the Fast and Furious series, died in a real-life car accident. His personal car crashed into a pole and burst into flames while he was off set. At the time of the tragedy, filming on Furious 7 was approximately 80% complete. Walker's death left the studio with a difficult choice: cancel the project or find a way to finish it while honoring the actor's memory. The decision was made to complete the film, which required a colossal technological and creative effort. The script was rewritten to provide a fitting farewell to his character. For the remaining scenes, Paul Walker's 2 brothers, Caleb and Cody, were used as stand-ins. Their figures were then digitally enhanced CGI to recreate Paul's face and facial expressions. The final scene, where Brian O'Connor steps away, became an emotional tribute to Walker and ensured the film's massive box office success, becoming one of the most expensive and complex posthumous endings ever. Oliver Reed, Gladiator, 2000. Legendary British actor Oliver Reed tragically died during the filming of the epic Gladiator in 19... Reed, known for his wild lifestyle, died of a heart attack in a pub in Malta during a break in filming. He was 61 years old. Reed played the key role of Proximio, an old gladiator and slave trader who mentored the protagonist, Maximus. At the time of his death, several final scenes featuring him remained unfinished, including the climactic scene of his death. Director Ridley Scott refused to reshoot all of his scenes with another actor. The studio spent $3.2 million on Reed's digital reconstruction. They used leftover footage, a body double, and then cutting-edge CGI technology to superimpose Reed's face onto the body double for the final scenes. His death scene was minimally rewritten to provide a logical conclusion to his storyline. It was one of the first high-profile examples of digital replacement being used to complete a role in a big-budget Hollywood film, and was considered a technological breakthrough and a tribute to Reed's talent. Philip Seymour Hoffman, The Hunger Games: Mockingjay, 2015. Philip Seymour Hoffman's death in February 2014 from a drug overdose occurred while he was filming the final installments of the Hunger Games franchise. He played the key role of Plutarch Heavensbee, the game's mastermind and the strategist of the rebellion. At the time of his death, Hoffman had completed filming for the first installment of Mockingjay, but had about 7 days left on the second and final installment. This included several important scenes featuring his character. Rather than resort to expensive and complex CGI replacements, as with Walker or Reed, director Francis Lawrence and the screenwriters opted to rewrite the remaining scenes. Plutarch's dialogue was given to other characters, primarily Effie Trinket, played by Elizabeth Banks. This allowed the storyline to be wrapped up without a noticeable narrative hole, though his absence from the final, climactic moments was felt by fans. Hoffman's death became an example of how a screenplay adaptation can save a major project. Bruce Lee, Game of Death, 1978. Unlike his son, Bruce Lee did not die on set, but his death in 1973 from cerebral edema occurred in the midst of work on his ambitious project, Game of Death. His death became the largest unfinished epic in martial arts history. Lee was not only an actor, but also the director, screenwriter, and choreographer of the film. He managed to shoot the crucial final 40 minutes of the film, where his character climbs a multi-story pagoda, battling masters of various styles. However, the main part of the plot, and all the footage leading up to the finale, remained unshot. The studio, eager to monetize the legend's final work, restarted production years after his death. Director Robert Clouse used archival footage from other films, botched takes, and hired stunt doubles, one of whom wore a fake beard and oversized sunglasses to obscure his face. Most controversially, footage from Lee's actual funeral was used as a scene in the film. Ultimately, Game of Death became a cinematic Frankenstein that, despite its cult status, is a shining example of how an actor's legacy was crafted from disparate archival footage. John Candy, Wagons East, 1995. Host, beloved comedic actor John Candy, known for his roles in Uncle Buck and Home Alone, died of a heart attack in his sleep in March 1994 while filming the Western comedy Wagons East in Mexico. He was only 43 years old. Candy played the lead role of the bumbling conductor James Harlow. At the time of his death, only a few key scenes remained to be filmed. His sudden passing put the studio in a difficult position, considering he was the central figure of the comedy. Director Peter Markle and the studio decided to complete production with minimal changes. For the remaining scenes, archival footage and highly trained stand-ins, filmed from behind or at a distance, were used. In some cases, scenes were simply shortened or rewritten so that Candy's character's absence would not be too noticeable. The film, released a year after his death, received negative reviews but was the actor's final work, making it a bittersweet experience for fans. Candy's death is an example of how the sudden departure of a star can critically affect the quality of a film. Vic Morrow, Twilight Zone the movie, 1983. This case is the most tragic and scandalous in Hollywood history, and was not due to natural causes, but was the result of production negligence. Actor Vic Morrow and two child actors died on the set of The Twilight Zone in 1982. The tragedy occurred during the filming of a night action scene. Due to an explosion of pyrotechnics that was too close to the flight zone, a low-flying helicopter lost control. The helicopter crashed directly onto Vic Morrow and the child actors, 7-year-old Mike Ding Lee and 6-year-old Renee Chen, killing all three instantly. The actors' deaths led to a lengthy trial against director John Landis and the entire crew for negligent homicide and manslaughter. Although no convictions were obtained, the incident forever changed safety regulations on film sets and banned working with children in dangerous conditions at night. The scene featuring Morrow was deleted from the film. Vic Morrow's death is a grim reminder that art should not cost human lives. River Phoenix, Dark Blood, 1993. River Phoenix, one of the most promising actors of his generation, died of a drug overdose in October 1993 in Los Angeles. He died at the age of 23 while filming the independent film Dark Blood. At the time of the tragedy, there were only 11 days of filming remaining. Phoenix played the lead role of a young recluse. After his death, the project was immediately shelved, and the insurance company seized all footage. The film remained shelved for nearly 20 years, forever considered unfinished. However, nearly 2 decades later, in 2012, director George Sluizer made an unusual attempt to complete the film. He used all the available footage, but decided not to use stunt doubles or CGI. Instead, to fill in the gaps in the story where Phoenix's scenes should have been, the director himself narrated the missing scenes, explaining to the audience what was supposed to happen. This experimental method allowed Dark Blood to be released as an unfinished but coherent art project, becoming a final unique farewell to his talent. Carrie Fisher, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, 2019. Carrie Fisher, the legendary Princess Leia Organa from Star Wars, died in December 2016 of cardiac arrest before filming began on Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Her death presented the creators of the franchise with a serious ethical and creative dilemma: how to properly conclude Leia's story without resorting to digital cloning, which would be disrespectful to the actress's memory. Abrams and Lucasfilm made a revolutionary decision. They used previously unused footage of Leia from episodes 7 and 8, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. This footage was woven into the new storyline, and her character's dialogue was redubbed or rewritten to fit the new storyline. It was a complex editing puzzle that allowed Leia to appear in the film without CGI, completing her story in a naturalistic manner. This decision was a model of respect for the actor and his legacy. Marilyn Monroe, Something's Got to Give, 1962. The death of Marilyn Monroe in August 1962, the result of a suspected overdose, halted production of the film Something's Got to Give. This case is unique in that the project was not completed, but completely canceled. Monroe played the lead role. However, her constant tardiness, missed shooting days, and unprofessional behavior related to health and personal issues led to numerous delays in production. 20th Century Fox was forced to fire Monroe in June 1962, although they later planned to reinstate her. After Monroe was found dead, the studio made the decision to cancel the project entirely. All footage shot to that point was abandoned. The studio later attempted to salvage the project by rebooting it with a different cast as Move Over, Darling, starring Doris Day. Something's Got to Give remains a legendary, unfinished film that has become a grim symbol of the tragic end of Hollywood's greatest star. Aaliyah, The Matrix Reloaded, 2003. Singer and rising actress Aaliyah tragically died in a plane crash in August 2001 while returning from filming her music video in the Bahamas. She was 22 years old. At the time of her death, she had already approved and was partially filming a major role in one of the most anticipated franchises, The Matrix Reloaded. Aaliyah was set to play the role of Z, a member of Neo's team who plays a crucial role in protecting Zion. Although Aaliyah managed to film a few scenes, the studio and directors, the Wachowskis, decided to rewrite and reshoot the entire role. The role of Z was reassigned to actress Nona Gao, Marvin Gao's daughter. All scenes featuring Z were reshot with a new actress. This decision was made out of respect for Aaliyah's memory and to avoid the need for complex editing or CGI to complete her small but important role. Aaliyah's death is a case where a sudden loss led to a complete reboot of the role and reshoots to ensure the integrity of the cinematic world. Richard Harris, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, 2002. The death of Irish actor Richard Harris, the original actor to play Professor Albus Dumbledore, was a great loss for the Harry Potter franchise. Harris died in October 2002 at the age of 72 from lymphoma, just a few weeks after the release of The Chamber of Secrets. Although he managed to complete filming on the second film, his death had a direct impact on the production of the third film, The Prisoner of Azkaban. His character was key to the subsequent development of the plot. Warner Bros. Pictures faced the task of replacing an actor who had already become an icon for millions of fans. Ultimately, fellow American Michael Gambon was chosen to play Dumbledore. Gambon took on the role, creating a more energetic and eccentric portrayal of the Hogwarts headmaster. Harris's departure became one of the most famous examples of a lead actor being replaced in the middle of a successful franchise. His final roles in Harry Potter served as a fond farewell to the legendary actor. Roy Scheider, Iron Cross, 2009. Jaws and All That Jazz star Roy Scheider died in February 2008 at the age of 75 from multiple myeloma. His death occurred while he was working on the independent thriller Iron Cross. Scheider completed all of his principal photography as Joseph, but died before the voiceover and final post-production were completed. His lack of voice talent posed a challenge for the low-budget film. Ultimately, the studio found an ingenious solution. Roy Scheider's son, Christian Scheider, a professional actor himself, voiced his father in the remaining scenes. This act of familial devotion allowed the film to be completed and ensured the audio presence of the actor in his final role. Cross of Iron, though not widely distributed, became a personal, uniquely completed posthumous project. Anton Yelchin, Star Trek Beyond, 2016. We conclude our list with Anton Yelchin, a young, talented actor who tragically died in June 2016 in a car accident near his home. He was only 27 years old. His death occurred just a month before the release of Star Trek Beyond, in which he played the iconic role of Pavel Chekhov. Yelchin managed to complete all of his filming for the film. Following his death, the creators of the franchise, including director J.J. Abrams, made a firm decision not to replace his character Chekhov in future films in the franchise in order to honor the actor's memory. The character will not be rewritten or reassigned to another actor. Star Trek Beyond was dedicated to his memory. Yelchin's departure marked the most recent example of a studio and colleagues choosing to preserve a young actor's legacy by removing his character from canon so that he would remain forever associated with his name. Conclusion. We've concluded our sad but important tribute. From Brandon Lee to Anton Yelchin, these stories remind us of how fragile life is and how the film industry finds ways to preserve their talent on screen. Which of these stories moved you the most? Share in the comments. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories from the world of cinema. See you there!